Two Poor Bastards contains explicit content and drunken ramblings. Listener discretion is advised. Listening to Two Poor Bastards, where two friends get drunk, talk whiskey, and their favorite pop culture obsessions. This is Eric.
And this is Kyle.
Hello. This is episode 9. Holy shit.
You know, I feel like we should revise that. It's like, we don't get drunk and then talk about the stuff. We talk about the stuff and then get drunk.
That's true. While getting drunk.
Whilst.
So this episode, we're going to be digging into Hibiki Suntory whiskey, and we're going to go over the movie Critters. I know that we had put that out on social media that we were thinking about going into that movie, and this is the episode where we finally dive in. And then we're also going to talk about you're going to where starting next week?
So coming up next week, I'll be going out to California for California Extreme. So it's a convention in Silicon Valley, and it is focused on, well, I'll get to that when we get to it.
So you're doing California Extreme. So let's get with the juice. So we've got Hibiki Suntory whiskey, another Japanese classic. It's actually the first commercial distillery, I believe.
Suntory?
Yeah.
I don't know. So Hibiki, unlike a lot of the whiskeys or other things that we've been having lately, is a blended whiskey, much like, you know, some scotches are blended. Famously, Johnny Walker is probably the biggest one that does blends. Compass Box is another one that famously does blends. Hibiki is, in my opinion, my favorite Japanese whiskey. And it's also something of a big controversy to me, too, because now the age statements on all the Hibikis, it's gone. It's done. They're done with that. It's through. No more age statements. I know, at least for the U.S., I don't know if they're going to continue to do age-stated bottles over in Japan. So what we're having right now is what they call a Hibiki Japanese Harmony. So that's the newest thing that's out, non-age stated. This is the regular stuff. The 12-year and the 17 and the 21, and I think there was even a 30-year version, got the axe a little more than a year ago. And it's crazy because, like, some whiskeys that get discontinued for their age statements, I know we talk about aftermarket prices a lot here. This is one that's completely skyrocketed lately. So you're seeing 12-year age-stated Hibikis on the secondary market for like $320 and around that area, which is completely ridiculous because it was right before it stopped. They had jacked the price way up on it anyways, from around $70 to about $100. But this now, the non-age stated stuff, fine for around $70. So with this also, it comes in a really awesome bottle.
It is hot.
It's in like, it's almost like a decanter on its own. So, I mean, some things get released in decanter style bottles, but this one is one of the few contemporary ones that come in that style of glass bottle. It is, it's very large, very heavy, and it has 24 faceted cuts on the bottle, and those 24 facets represent the 24 seasons.
Oh,
so I guess maybe like in, you know, Japanese thing, they break down the seasons even further than the normal 4.
I guess. I will say the first thought when I opened it and looked at it, I'm like, I'm keeping this as a decanter. Like that was the immediate thought. Mm-hmm. So it's a pretty bottle.
Yeah, and then in Japan, there has been some releases where on the bottle itself, they're hand painted with traditional Japanese scenery like Mount Fuji or chrysanthemums, that kind of thing.
I want
really
that.
cool. Yeah, and then some are etched and some are hand painted. So it's not just something that gets slapped on there when they're making the bottle. Somebody actually took the time to do that.
That's crazy. So a little more info on there. So it is a Japanese brewing and distilling company group established in 1899. It is one of the oldest companies in Japan to distribute alcoholic beverages and makes Japanese. So Suntory Holdings Limited. So they make more than just whiskey.
Famously known as Beam Suntory now after their acquiring of the Jim Beam.
Yep.
brand.
So with its 2014 acquisition of Beam Incorporated, is diversified internationally and become one of the largest makers of distilled beverages in the world. Suntory is headquartered in Jojimahama, Tukom, Kitakuku, Osaka Prefecture.
Let me see. Okay, so yeah, let's see here.
Yeah,
Founder, I mean, it's founded in Osaka. Where was the other part that you were looking at here? Oh, Doji Mahama 2, Chome Kitaku, Osaka, in Osaka Prefecture.
Yeah, so obviously I didn't catch that. So
It's in Osaka. All the rest of that doesn't really matter.
Suntory was started by Shinjiro Tori, who first opened his store in Osaka on February 1st, 1899, to sell imported wines. 1907, the store began selling a sweet-tasting red wine called Akadama port wine, and the store became the Kotobukiya Company in 1921. To further expand its business, in 1923, Tori built Japan's first malt whiskey distillery, Yamazaki Distillery. Production began in 1924, and 5 years later, Suntory Whiskey, white label, the first single malt whiskey made in Japan, was sold. So there's a little bit of stuff for you.
So yeah, if you've heard of other Japanese whiskeys, you've probably heard of the Yamazaki and the Hakushu, and both of those are some of the whiskeys that get blended into Hibiki.
Due to shortages during World War II, Kotobukiya was forced to halt its development of new products, but in 1946 it re-released Tori's whiskey, which sold very well post-war Japan, and in 1961 launched the Drink Tories and Go to Hawaii campaign. At the time, a trip abroad was considered a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. 1963, Kotobukiya changed its name to Suntory, taken from the name of the whiskey it produces. In the same year, Musashino Beer Factory began its production of Suntory beer, and in 1997 the company became Japan's sole bottler, distributor, and licensee of Pepsi products. So a little bit of background in Suntory for
And
you.
I'm sure if any of you have ever seen Lost in Translation, you see the famous part where Bill Murray does his commercial for Suntory. You know, for good times, make it Suntory time.
There you go. You know what? I don't know that I've ever seen that movie.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a movie that I haven't seen. It's pretty crazy. So let's go over the smell and taste profile and get with the sniffing.
Again, still a little on the sick side, so forgive me here for not being 100% on my game with this whisk game. It's like light, refreshing, like springtime smell.
Yeah, this doesn't hit like the alcohol doesn't smash you at all. Like it's
43% on this right here, so this is a lower alcohol content.
so there's definitely
Like citrus and honey I get from smelling. It's very pleasant.
yeah, it's a good smelling juice.
Like I almost get like almost a little bit of lemon in the nose.
You know what? Honestly, I'm not catching that as much.
though I might be crazy.
Well, that goes without
I definitely
saying.
am crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I get a citrusy citrus, and then there's something deeper than that. And it's just it's very pleasant. It's, as you said, springy. It's
refreshing.
It's almost floral in some ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's refreshing. I don't, it doesn't have that deep kind of like sock you in the face, wooden oak kind of vibe to it. So let's taste this.
Oh, yeah.
It really is like drinking juice.
Yes. Light, crisp.
Yep. Refreshing.
Mm-hmm.
It's got, I think, a stronger aftertaste than an initial.
Yeah, the finish comes on pretty strong rather than the initial sip.
Yep. I'm getting floral hints, maybe a little rose, essence of rose or lilac. I'm getting it's very smooth.
Oh, it's smooth. But yeah, honey, definitely getting that.
I don't know, chrysanthemum or a peony. A peony? To me,
Candy. Well, it says here candied orange peel. In the nose, it says rose and lychee. Hint of rosemary. I can see all of that.
Yeah.
I'm having a hard time really pinning down something that it tastes like besides just fucking good ass whiskey.
To me, it tastes like a peony smells like a freshly blossomed, like it's really like.
I don't even know what a peony is. I mean, I know it's a flower, but I wouldn't be able to point at it and be like, that right there is a peony.
Well, it's a very large flower that's pink or white or orange. The blossoms on it are the size of like a grapefruit. They're huge.
Okay.
And they're very pungent. And that's what I feel like in a good way. Like you walk past them, and you're like, that's a very pleasant smell. That's what this tastes like to me.
That's good, because I usually don't like the smell of flowers because I'm allergic to pollens and stuff like that. So that shit fucks with my head.
So this, floral, citrusy.
Floral, fruity.
I don't necessarily get the candies though. I guess I have to.
Candied orange peel. So is like
What the fuck does that even mean?
candied orange zest. So is it zesty, like citrusy, or candy-y? I don't know. What does that mean?
I don't
Who
know.
candies an orange peel? No one.
And how does one even begin the process of that? I don't even understand. Do you just like roll it in sugar and say it's candy? Do you dry it? Do you like put it in a puree thing and put it in gelatin and then sweeten it up? I don't know.
Who does that? It's a waste of time. I can drink whiskey instead.
Yeah, I've got this fucking great Suntory.
For good times.
Mm-hmm.
Now, unlike our last episode, where we were talking about the Russell's Reserve single barrel, the store pick, which I had a hard time getting through just the single pour that I had that we were tasting for the show. This, I could blow through this like no one's business.
Yeah,
this is ultimately drinkable.
That's the problem. It's it's not expensive, but it's on the higher end of affordable.
I say it's expensive.
$70 a bottle. I mean, especially
expensive.
if you're
for a non-age stated one where
Yeah. But you're right. This is a very dangerous because it's very drinkable. It's light. It's really tasty. Whereas like it doesn't like you could just slam it. Whereas like Russell's Reserve or maybe some of the cask proof stuff that we've drank in the past, like that stuff forces you to slow down and sip it. This is just like I will just have the whole thing in one gulp.
Yeah, Russell's forced me to slow down because it wasn't that great. This is great.
Yeah, this is
I would blast this all day long. Now imagine how good this is No, imagine being able to get a 21-year-old bottle of it, or a 30-year-old bottle of it, which you can't anymore, unless you're on the secondary market or
And
whatever. And you're never going to be able to afford it because that shit's going to be out there. Like, once upon a time before it went real crazy, I remember seeing 21-year-old bottles for like $400 or something like that. And I'd be like, I would almost buy that as a special occasion thing just to have. No, those days are over.
Yeah, now you're fucked.
I bet that shit was so good.
Now, do they have the bottle with the samurai, like, on top of it? Like, I was looking at...
No, that's a Nika.
That's a Nika deal.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotcha.
So that one, not available in America. I think it might be Japan, maybe also Europe, that you could get that particular one. So there was one with like a samurai's armor. There was one with like a European knight's armor also.
I did see the samurai armor on a secondary market, and that was, I do believe, like $3,000, maybe?
That's not like a super fancy release, so it shouldn't have been that much, unless it was like, on top of that, an even more limited one.
Yeah, I need to
You need to. You and I both need to not look at the secondary market because that's just fucking with things. Nobody wants to hear like, here's this great whiskey. Now you got to go pay someone out the ass to get it.
Basically, secondary market is whatever the shelf value is, double it, and then pay shipping.
Well, if you're lucky, it's just double.
Yeah, if you're lucky. If it's something like Super Cherry or limited, you're paying through the ass. That's for sure. So I saw some of that. And not everything is terrible. Depends on what your tastes are, your flavors are, as far as...
I don't want a business transaction to happen through my ass. That's not what I want. No paying through the ass.
No credit card checks.
No paying through the ass. No paying out the ass. Nah.
None of that. You're not about that life. And neither am I. But sometimes you got to do what you got to do to get the thing.
The only thing that I want that has anything to do with ass and whiskey is NAS. Non-age stated. And ass.
Anyways, so I approve of this Hibiki. It's delicious. It's light. It's very drinkable. It's dangerous because it is so crisp. Maybe that's a good word.
Really getting more honey out of it the more I drink, too.
Yep. And that's what I enjoy about drinking whiskey is just the many layers of flavor that you get through the whole process. The more you drink, your palate changes because obviously alcohol is a sedative a bit, so it numbs certain parts of your palate, so other things come through. And then as it sits and interacts with your whole process, like I'm getting the honey more, as you said, whereas before I was just getting more of a floral flavor. So it's good shit.
And then just to say, like, up until not too long ago, just a few years, Japanese whiskey was seen as like the butt of the joke in every, in the whiskey world. Like no one paid attention to it. And
it's still the butt of the joke for anyone that doesn't know whiskey. You say Japanese whiskey to someone who just knows that alcohol exists, and they're like, come again? The Japanese make whiskey? I'm like, yeah, they've been making whiskey for 100 and some years. So,
and then Yamazaki 18 comes in, gets rated the number one whiskey in the world a few years back. And then, bam, you can't get it because everyone is all over that shit. And like I had mentioned before, you could find bottles of 18-year-old Yamazaki for $90. Now that's what the 12-year costs. And you can't find the 18-year anywhere. And now it's like $250 retail.
So I will say, this compared to Nika seems to have a more...
Specifically the Taketsuru, if we're comparing it to what we've sampled before.
Taketsuru. The Taketsuru seems to be more... It's a sharp... I feel it's a sharper flavor.
It's more in line with traditional, like, Scotch whiskeys. It's more similar to that, specifically the Macallan.
Yeah. This is like...
Well, this is its own thing.
Right. It's delicious.
It's fucking great.
Good on them for creating this. Thank you for making it. I'm going to enjoy it. And, and I'm going to blast through this, and it's going to make me sad, and I'm not going to have it anymore, and I don't want to pay that $70 for a fucking bottle.
So back when this first came out, like I had been searching for it forever, and I finally found 2 bottles of it, and I instantly bought them. So I was like, fuck yeah. And this is before I heard anything about the age statement going away, because it had just been like quietly put out there and that's it. So I remember I got home, instantly ripped into one and started drinking. And that's when all of a sudden I was like, wait a minute. There's no fucking age statement on this bottle. And I had posted a picture on Instagram, and Suntory actually came in and liked it. And then I proceeded to get into an Instagram argument with Suntory about what the fuck happened to the age statement and what was going on. And
what they have to say about it.
Bless them. They fucking like trolled me, whoever was doing it. They're just like, thank you for liking Suntory. Hibiki Japanese Harmony. We're glad that you enjoy it. I'm like, wait a fucking second. What happened to this? Give me an answer. Like, enjoy it responsibly.
No, hold on. Let's loop back around. Where are the age statements?
I got in an argument, and they curved my shit hard when I was doing it. That's more what happened.
That's a beautiful thing. That person, whoever's running that account, is a fucking champion. Because that's like, I feel like if you run because I was doing research for recording software because we had an upgrade. So we upgraded our interface a little while back, and it didn't work with my old recording software, so I had to upgrade. So I'm looking at all these different programs, yada, yada, yada. And so I'm in Adobe's help page, and it's just these people ripping on Adobe, and there's some administrator doing the same thing. Thank you for our product, and in the effort to be
thanks for stealing our product. Yeah. We know you're using it for free and you didn't pay for it, so I'm not going to listen to any of your complaints.
Yeah. Well, what they did is they changed it now, so the newer one is a subscription-based service, so you can't pirate the new Adobe stuff. At least that I've heard of. I haven't tried that hard to investigate. I found what I needed to find and did my upgrade. But I just thought it was pages and pages of people just trashing Adobe, and then Adobe coming in and like trying to rein the chaos back in and doing the same thing of, we appreciate your opinion as customers, and we take your feedback seriously, and we use it to improve our products. While it is controversial that we've made these changes, it is better for the growing marketplace. It was good shit. Anyways, it's a great whiskey.
Yeah, that's my life, arguing with a whiskey company on Instagram. That's what I've come to.
Well, we all have our small joys, and if that's.
And I was drinking too, so that just amplified things.
Were you drinking their whiskey?
Yeah.
That's even better.
Because I was drinking it, and that's when I was holding the bottle and realizing that there was no age statement.
That's a full-throated endorsement of their product. You're arguing with them drinking their shit. Like,
I was not going to drink it.
Well, of course, because it's good, no less, regardless of the lack of age statement. I'm curious because bourbon has
they were the first to rein in this whole bye-bye age statement. That's fucking it.
And I'm curious what the age is in reality, or the age range is for these.
Well, it could be there could be something that's 30 years old in here. I mean, it's a blend of a bunch of stuff, but because of that, you can't claim that it's, anything but what the very youngest whiskey that goes into it is. So if there's like a 2-year whiskey in there and they wanted to throw an age statement on it, even though there's some 30-year-old whiskey in the mix, that doesn't matter. It's going to be called a 2-year. So that being the case, it's best just to leave it as a non-age statement.
And for being blended, I'm enjoying it.
There's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, this is my very favorite Japanese whiskey over all the other ones. Blended or not, that doesn't make any difference. Whoever is the one doing the blending is making fucking magic happen. So they know their shit, and they're adding all these things together to make a superior product.
And what's interesting to me is how do you hit... So the Harmony product is meant to hit a specific kind of tone from what they're describing it as, the notes in it. So someone is having to mix all of these various barrels together to create this and still hit what they advertise.
Yeah, there
for
has to be
notes.
consistency in there, so you got to
It's
know
impressive.
what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. It is very. Is it sad that there's no age statement? Maybe. I enjoy it no less. I am impressed with their ability to create a consistent product and be able to show or represent what they're describing it as and actually getting it and it tastes what they're describing. Because some, like, we've gone over this before in other episodes where there's a whole bunch of hyperbole with these craft distillers describing all this bullshit words and like
it's not craft and mainstream.
And it doesn't taste or anything like what's being described because it's a story. It's a whole bunch of bullshit. Where this is
Tastes like a lie.
yeah, that's because it is a lie. It's all a lie. Anyways, thumbs up. What else you got to say about this?
I want an age statement. I want it back. Give it to me. Those days are over, though.
Those, again, we've discussed this before. Is, will this go out of fad, and will they eventually bring it back? They might, because they're probably going to end up with. Everyone's ramping up. Japanese, American distillers.
Well, everyone is ramping up their drinking too. Like recently, I had a friend go to Japan, and I was like, "Hey, scoop me some whiskey when you're out there because that's where the good shit is." He went everywhere, and he couldn't find a thing. So people are emptying the shelves there too. So it's not just Americans who are, big on the whiskey craze. It's the whole world over.
Yep. So I was reading this article basically that people of our generational era, if you will, and there's argument over where we fall as opposed to other folks fall, that basically whiskey is the alcohol of choice for people in our age range, and it's won the the booze war, I guess.
Maybe, I don't know. Jackasses are still really hard up for craft brew bullshit beer.
I feel like that's going away a little bit, though. I don't feel that people get nearly as hard for craft beers as they did a couple years ago. Although I did read that there was, same as where, consequence of whiskeys and bourbons becoming popular, age statements go away. There's also a major shortage of hops because of craft breweries. So that's driving the price of beers up because there's a shortage of the grains that go into making beers. So consequence of supply and demand, I guess. Anyways, so I want you to talk to me about California Extreme.
Okay, so this will be my first year going to California Extreme, but from what I know, it's an event that happens every year out in Silicon Valley. And basically what it is, it's a convention that showcases arcade gaming and pinball. So I know a bunch of people who live out in the area there, San Francisco and the surrounding area. Just the Bay Area. So I know a bunch of people out there who are going to be going, who have gone in the past, and my friends here in the state in Minnesota are going to be going out there. They have gone there before, previously last year. I will be going out there, and I get to see people that I know from all over the country who are into the hobby. So I'll be going out there, meeting up with a ton of people, partying hard, playing games, doing that kind of thing, seeing a bunch of machines that I maybe have never seen before, see a bunch of machines that I know and want to see. I don't know. Should be a good time.
And so, for people that don't know, mechanical gaming machines are one of your pinball machines, one of your interests.
Yes, I love me some arcade gaming. I mean, I have a personal collection of arcade hardware and software. Thankfully, I haven't gotten into pinball and trying to acquire my own machine yet because those are really expensive. And require a lot of upkeep, and it's like I've said before for other things, my hobbies include collecting expensive hobbies, and like drugs, that's definitely something that I don't need to get into because I don't have the kind of money to
get into pinball.
Yeah. But I've got some friends who are buying the newest machines and stuff like that. It's like, if you want some of the really popular machines, they can be upwards of $10,000.
Jesus Christ.
So you got to really, really be into it, and then have the dough to be into it.
Some people like sports cars. Some people like pinball machines.
Some people do. One of my friends out who's from St. Louis is going to be out there. He's big into it. He'll be at the tournament that's there. I mean, he'll probably be one of the top-ranked players, too, so I'm excited to go out there, see him play, and hang out with him. It's like a lot of people I know do have machines, and it's just like, man, that's dedication.
And for me, like, from my perspective, knowing you, like, because you have 2 cabs.
Yeah, 2 arcade cabinets. Yep.
That, like, take up a large portion of your living room with all the accoutrements that go along with your cabs.
Yeah.
So you talking about pinball machines and that being expensive, like, that's kind of funny to me.
Oh, man, that's way more expensive than the regular arcade gaming.
No, weren't you saying that the cabs that you have now are more expensive?
So the ones that I have are from Japan, or Japanese arcade cabinets. And the big difference between the cabinets that they have in their arcades there in Japan and what you see here in America is the style and the material that they're made out of. So here we're used to seeing big stand-up wood cabinets that are dedicated for one particular game. I mean, you've got the side art and everything on it. Like, that is for that specific game. In Japan, that's not so much the case. A lot of the stuff that they have is like universal cabinets. And they're a lot lower. You're meant to sit down when you play them. They're made out of fiberglass. Typically, they have larger screens in them, too. So that's what I have. I have 2 Japanese ones. They're made by Sega. They're called the model number, or not number, but name is New Astro City.
How badass of a name is that?
So, yeah, Sega named a lot of their cabs, like, so there's a Blast City. There's an Arrow City. So City is in the name for some reason. I don't know. New Net City. Versus City. All these names. These weird names.
I mean,
but yeah, the Japanese cabinets are really sleek and streamlined.
I'll say they look
fashionable.
Sexy.
It is when it is not on, it is a modern piece of furniture. Most of them are white.
Yeah, and I will say that, like, you know, compared to what we have in America, where they're very boxy, they're just not elegant, they're not stylish. They got as you said, the decals on the side, and they're just, I don't know, they just look like TVs in a box, and you stand up and you have, what you have, they're pretty sexy. Like,
oh, they're very streamlined.
Yeah, yeah.
They cut right through the air if they moved.
Yes. So, what else? Tell me more about California Extreme.
Well, not going there and not experiencing it yet, not looking too far into it. That's about all I know. I mean, when I get back, I'll definitely report on everything that happened while I was out there. I can give you the full details, but it's just a quick preview, a snippet of what's to come.
How drunk do you think you're going to get when you go out there?
Every time I go out to see my friend who lives out in San Francisco, I always say I'm not going to get that drunk this year, and I'll try and I'll probably get really drunk.
Do you think you get emotional and drunk?
No, I shouldn't get to that point. No.
Okay.
I'll probably get drunk and run off with strangers again, because I tend to do that a lot when I'm out there. But we'll see what happens. I mean, most of it, I'll be doing casual drinking a couple days beforehand. I'll be in a hotel and staying at the same hotel that it's happening in for the Saturday and Sunday that it's going on.
What I notice about you, like in public, is, especially as you're drinking, you just accumulate people. They just start to kind of congregate around you, and
that does happen.
And then, like, you've got these new friends. It's an amazing, Like, you would just become this social butterfly once you hit a certain alcohol ratio.
Yeah, the deep hate that's instilled in me somehow.
Self-hate.
And self-hate and, all those other things. Like a blinder goes up to that, and then something else shows through that I don't want people to see.
It's a different person that people tend to like and are drawn to. And because, like, when we're at Convergence, you had at some point in time just got up and left. I had no idea where you went. And I was left.
That sounds, about right.
I was left with a person that I thought that you had known forever. Like, I thought it was one of your friends. And then you came back. I'm like, I don't know that person. I just met that person. Because they're like, where's Kyle at? Where's Kyle? I was like, I don't know. Peeing probably. I don't know. Anywho's. So
yeah, I'll see a bunch of people that I know out there. Some of these people I haven't met in person yet. I'll see them, and I'm sure I'll make friends with new people who I don't know anything about.
Internet
while I'm
friends.
out there. Internet people.
Well, I look forward to you telling me about it. Let's move on to our geek topic, I suppose. We talked about doing this. Well, at least I put this out on social media. It got a lot of love. But we sat down and watched Critters.
We watched Critters.
So I hadn't seen that movie, I'll be honest, probably 15 or 20 years. Like, it's one of those things that I have a warm, nostalgic love for. But having revisited it, it's taken on a new light.
It's definitely not what I had thought. I had seen this one before. It might have been the second or the third or the fourth or whichever one. I'm not sure which one it is. But I completely didn't remember anything that I saw. So it was like a new experience for me.
So Critters was released in 1986. Ooh, Siskel and Ebert gave it 2 thumbs up when it came out.
That's surprising.
It's definitely a movie of its time. So it's considered a horror, science fiction, dark fantasy, and comedy film. So it's definitely a blend of different elements there.
So that's like kind words for B schlock.
It's definitely a schlock. So although widely to believed to have been made to cash in on the success of the similarly themed Gremlins, which also
I was going to say something about that.
Owned by Warner Brothers. Director Stephen Herrick refuted this in an interview, pointing out that the first Critters script was written by Dominic Muir long before Gremlins went into production, and subsequently underwent rewrites to reduce apparent similarities between the two films. The central focus of the series is based on these malevolent carnivorous aliens from outer space called Krites that have the ability to roll into balls like hedgehogs and combine into pernicious sphere that can roll across the landscape and cause mayhem. We did not see that in the first movie.
They rolled and caused mayhem, for sure.
But not as a group. They get all together and do it.
Their powers combined.
So it was directed by Stephen Herrick, produced by Rupert Harvey. Screenplay is by Stephen Herrick and Dominic Muir. And there's some additional material by Don Keith Oper. There's a lot of fucking people in this movie that I recognize from a whole large sphere of movies and TV series. So Dee Wallace, I believe she played the villain, I suppose, in The Frighteners, which I just got done watching because the anniversary of The Frighteners came up. I decided to rewatch the movie. And then it's got the dude from Blade Runner who plays Deckard's boss. He's in it. The cinematography is done by Tim Scherstedt. I don't really know if you could call it cinematography. I mean, it was definitely filmed, but I don't know if there's any sort of like style, if you will.
I would not call it cinema.
It's like super schlock. Let's see what else is here. Ooh, creature effects done by the Chiodo brothers. Or is it Kyoto?
Chiodo.
Chiodo? Do you know that definitively?
Yeah, I mean, if it's like any other name that I've seen like that. Yeah, Chiodo.
Chiodo. Okay, then. That's cool.
If I'm wrong, fuck me. I don't know, whatever.
It's cool. It's, whatever. Now, I had read that the Critters design was taken from an H.R. Geiger thing.
It's totally not sexual enough to be a Geiger design.
Exactly. So, and basically what happens, the plot of it is on an asteroid prison, a group of dangerous aliens known as the Krites are set to be transported to another station to be, I think, exterminated, I believe. The Krites engineer an escape and hijack a ship, prompting the warden to hire 2 shape-changing bounty hunters to pursue them to Earth. Studying life on Earth via satellite television transmission, the 2 bounty hunters assume the form of a rock star, Johnny Steele, and the second remains undecided, thus retaining his blank, featureless head. They land in rural Kansas, where the Brown family sits down for breakfast. And Billy Zane makes an appearance in this movie with a fucking sweet ponytail.
Oh, yeah, that was fucking Billy Zane, the boyfriend that no one fucking cared about when he got killed.
Yeah.
Or mentioned or had anything to do with again.
So let's go into the movie now. Like we've given enough factual things about the damn thing. It's fucking schlock. Way schlockier than I remember.
And it really had, like, you didn't have 120 hertz going on your TV, but it definitely had that soap opera-y 120 hertz refresh rate look going on to it, too.
To be fair, I definitely have the HDR thing on there, so it kind of upgrades the color dynamic on it.
But yeah, that wouldn't affect how the look like that, the motion. So that was kind of weird. It was kind of jarring to see something like that.
Yeah. There's like this weird alcoholic, maybe mentally disabled person who sees,
like, basically gets treated as the town idiot.
And, like, he receives transmissions through his fillings in his teeth.
Yeah, and sleeps off his drunken stupors in the jail cell at the sheriff's office with alcohol on him in the cell.
Yeah, that was pretty fucking funny. And then, so you've got the family. It's father, mother, and then older sister, younger brother. Younger brother's just, I think he's reaching just that, like, right bastard age where, like, you think it's fun to fuck with your teenage sister wanting to get... And the sister, man, she's aggressive, sexually aggressive.
Yeah, if I was in the company of Billy Zane, I might be guilty of being sexually aggressive as well. So I can't fault her for that.
That's fair. And plus, the New York license plate just sold how sophisticated he was.
Yes. It's so... we find out that sister's new boyfriend is from New York, and there's this big to-do with him, and he turns out being a completely inconsequential character.
Yeah,
just like totally. And yeah, you see him pull up in his brand new Porsche 944 that his parents gave him for his birthday, and the little thing around the license plate, the like little vanity plaque says, "I don't give a shit about what your other car is."
You should get that vanity plate.
My other car is a bike. Well, you know what? I agree with Billy Zane. I don't give a shit what your other car is.
2 shits who's on board as well. Yeah, and he only has like maybe 3 seconds to lay on his Billy Zane charm, and that's it. I mean, it's just kind of quick and done, and he kind of dies a very everyone who is murdered by them dies an inconsequential
It's like
death.
We don't even know if he really died.
I don't know. I can't really tell.
You just see one of the critters bite him, and then like the sister runs away and is basically just like with her little brother, and is just like, "Fuck this, I'm out of here." Fuck you,
and
Billy Zane.
Never mentioned ever again.
No, never. Like they didn't talk or mention anything. They were like, "Oh, he's dead. I don't care."
It's fine. Whatever.
That was it. Poor Billy Zane.
Poor Billy Zane. And then like the whole like faux rock band thing. So like
oh man, like they really tried to make this cheesy song looks like something cool. Like they're really pushing it hard.
Yeah, it was pretty funny actually. And I don't even really. I mean I understand the basic plot, but like the shit that happens makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, it was kind of all over the place.
It was.
It was like if we tried to make a movie of our conversations that we have in here. We get all over the place. That movie got all over the place.
That's it is a conversation that you and I have had made into a movie, and there's just some random ass weird. So the critters, if you don't know, they look like a porcupine / hedgehog. They're probably like...
It looks like if Pac-Man had teeth and hair.
Yeah. But like less round.
But less round, but still eats fucking everything.
Yes. And it's like it has a giant mouthful of teeth. It has porcupine quills.
Basically,
one like a ridge down their back.
That they like a single ridge on their back that they can shoot out needles from, which...
And it's implied that they're poisonous. They have some sort of
put you to sleep or something. They always shoot you right in the neck, right in the same damn spot.
Right, and there's always a wad of gum that goes with the quill.
Yeah, like the spot where it enters into the skin. For the practical effect, it looked like they just took a chewed up piece of gum, jammed it on someone's neck, and then used that to hold this basically quill that shot out of it. Yeah.
I like the design. They've got like glowing red eyes.
It is a good design because it's timeless. Like if you say critters, most of the time people know what a critter looks like.
Yeah. I will say, and I like my favorite thing. I think I sent you this. They did a critters like movie design, but then like redid it so it's like a Care Bear.
No, I didn't see that. No.
Oh my god, I have to send that to you. It's fucking hilarious. They make stickers of these things, and I want it so bad. It's just such a cheesy schlock.
I mean, the movie
ride.
is, but I could see if they made something like less schlocky with a character design like that, it could truly be frightening.
Yeah.
And like one of my most vivid memories of Critters, the movie series basically in general, is like I remember years ago going to stay at my grandma's in middle of fucking nowhere, Red Wing, and going to the one video store there, like the happening place to go, and they had a giant cardboard cutout of a critter.
Fuck, you know how much money that's worth probably now?
Probably a shitload. And I mean, this thing was as big as me, fucking frightening looking, and it really left an impression. And like, I will never forget that just because of how it looked. And it's just like, oh man, that's really stuck with me.
I'm really curious about watching the rest of the movies now. Because this is one of the film series that I saw when I was a kid. And I talked previously about how my family would go. We get the 5 for 5 deal and more, and we would just rent entire anthologies or series of movies and watch them all the way through. We'd basically binge watch before it was the popular thing to do. And so Critters was one of those movies that we binge watched, and I remember absolutely loving it and just thinking, those bounty hunters were so badass with their fucking holstered
hip gun
cannons. Like, what the fuck? Like,
yeah, with the barrel that pops out and then pops back in.
Oh yeah, it extends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty hot. That's a pretty cool effect. My recollection, and I will confirm this later on as I watch more of the series, is the bounty hunters come back, and the drunk guy becomes one of the bounty hunters. Because at the end, we see the town drunk just kind of stumble off with the two bounty hunters.
Walks off with them and, says, do you need any help? I can work on guns. I'm good with my hands.
And they're probably thinking something else entirely.
Yeah, good with your hands. How?
Please, go into further detail.
Sees that, and then we see in the chicken coop a nest, and there's critter eggs in there. So totally leading us into the next movie.
And what I love is that this is such a typical 80s cliffhanger, but not. Like, always a lead into there's going to be more films. And, I mean, the acting wasn't terrible. Like, I'm not going to, like... I don't think any of the acting was...
Oh, dude, the fucking rock star bounty hunter, he was a terrible actor.
Yeah, but when he was doing the rock star thing, it was terrible, I thought. Otherwise, he's just being a stoic, like, I'm an emotionless being.
I guess. I can go along with that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like, everyone else, though, like, I didn't feel like them being terrified. I wasn't, like, I didn't disbelieve that they weren't terrified. Like, it was pretty... I mean, it's just... The problem with the movie is that it's of its age, and it's a schlock fest.
What was it rated? What is the rating on it?
That's a very good question. Hold on. I have it pulled up so I will get this to you.
Because I'm interested in this because, you know, speaking of, and I wanted to touch on this before you mentioned it, about how it was, you know, similarly compared to... Gremlins. I wanted to talk about that and be like, yes, the creatures, they cause mischief. You know, they do wacky things. One of them says, fuck.
Of course. And
it's not said, I mean, it's said in the critter language, but then subtitled largely as just fuck with an exclamation point.
Well, shit, yo. It's, Oh, that's the wrong one.
That's the wrong movie.
That's not the thing I was thinking.
That's Videodrome.
And that's for another time.
But then again, I feel like in the 80s, that would probably be PG-13 would be my guess.
Yeah, that's the amazing... Yeah, PG-13. All the Critter, the entire series is PG-13. Now, I don't know that it would be. Where I feel like 80s is like the prime time for violence being sold to children.
Yes.
It is. Everything is so hyper violent in the 80s, even mild. Like,
is that why I like really violent anime now? I don't know, maybe.
I don't, you know, it's hard to say. I mean, being a kid of the 80s, like, it's definitely, you're used to a certain viewpoint, I guess, or a presentation of violence. And yeah, it's kind of fucking terrifying. I mean, those little fuckers are terrifying in reality. I had just read, so going into today, I was reading my news, checking my Twitter feed, and of course I get these because I can't find them because they've basically kind of gone out of print in essence. And Scream Factory is releasing all of these on Blu-ray, of course. So just when I find the damn movies, get them, ship them, they're going to be re-released. And that thus is the fate of my life, is whenever I do something, the next better thing comes out, and then I'm stuck with the old shitty version of something.
This is why I don't buy movies anymore.
So what do? You go to other people's houses and watch them?
Yes, I come over. I come over to your place and then watch them.
Fair enough. And I am the format whore, and I'm always chasing the next best.
I take it back. I will occasionally buy something on Laserdisc. If I'm going to get a movie, I do that now.
Yeah, you only buy movies on Laserdisc. That's amazing.
That sounds really stupid.
It's like I only buy music on mini discs. That's it. If it's not on a mini disc, I don't buy it.
I had a mini disc player for a minute.
I still have one.
I thought it was really cool.
They are fucking cool.
Like if you lived in Japan, it would be like a reasonable format to have, but not here.
They use them a lot in radio broadcasting. At least when I was in radio, that's what you used. You recorded the interviews on an MP3 or on a mini disc player. I still have it. I think it's still badass. I don't fucking use it, but I don't know. Like I love Japanese technology, and the shit that they come up with is fucking.
I love Japan.
I love Japan.
Japanese cars and drifting in that order. sorry, that's an inside joke, and I'll keep using it, even though you don't know what I'm talking about. But definitely, as far as the Gremlins thing, I totally feel like it was a big cash in on that success.
You know, it's weird because sometimes I think, like,
Even though they claim it was written before, but whatever.
I definitely feel, though, people get on wavelengths. You know what I mean? Like, we've run into this with our own show. We've done a show on a topic, and then 2 weeks later, another outlet will release an article on it. So,
But were the GoBots a different wavelength of Transformers?
maybe.
Were the Battletoads its own separate thing from Ninja Turtles? Although Battletoads ended up being successful in its own right, even though.
Right. But, you know, be it the asteroid movies or the volcano movies, like, there's always seems to be a competing...
Joe and the Volcano?
Yes. No. No, is it... What the fuck is it? There's one where California is going to erupt.
Everyday life.
Every
in
day
California
is a volcano. That's true. That's very true.
No, I take that back. That's earthquake, and it's going to fall into the ocean.
Right.
As if something could just fall into an ocean when it's part of a continent.
Yeah, that's going to happen. I mean, you know, Hawaii's getting added to.
Yeah, it's getting bigger.
It's getting bigger. It's destroying a whole lot of other stuff, but it's getting bigger. I mean, it's just adding land value, so that's cool. But, yeah, Gremlins, yeah, I could see it.
But you see the critters in the kid's bedroom, and they're ripping up his pillows, talking to his E.T. doll. Fucking shit up just because.
Yeah, I would say that they're little fuckers. Like, critters are little fuckers is what they are. Like,
and then they get bigger, they can grow to a larger size, and at the end there's a couple that are like
huge human size.
Where the wild things
Number one,
creatures is what they turn into.
It's not explained why that happens or how that happens.
It just happens. You see a shadow grow. I mean, is it because they're eating things because critters eat shit? Are they getting bigger? Or they just say, I need to be bigger?
Yeah, I don't know I mean, that's one, at least with the critters or with the Gremlins, there was a reasoning and a logic to why you get from the Mugwai to the Gremlin. The cute thing, the little fucking scary ass Gremlin thing.
Okay, now we're talking about Gremlins. My question is, do time zones matter?
I think you should...
like, if you're in Arizona or New Mexico or whichever state doesn't do, daylight savings, that kind of thing, does that affect it, or do you have to compensate for that?
Yeah. How do time zones affect... Do Gremlins get jet lag?
Do Gremlins? Question mark.
Do Gremlins...
That's it.
Do Gremlins... Question. Do they? I don't know. They may.
Yeah, so what if you fly, you have one in your luggage, you smuggle it in somehow, and you go to a different part of the world. If where you came from the time was midnight, would that affect it? Does it switch?
If where you initially fly, the time zone by the time you landed was midnight, but it wasn't midnight where you landed, it was noon, would that affect it?
What if you were in a hot air balloon and you were keeping yourself in one spot while the Earth still rotated, and you were at 11:59 the whole time? Would that work?
I don't know. I think we need to get a hold of Joe Dante and get to the bottom of this mystery because it's bothering me. And I don't know that I could ever watch one of those movies again because that ruins it, the whole thing to me.
Literally unwatchable at this point.
Until that is officially canonically resolved.
Critters is more realistic than Gremlins.
Yeah.
By a huge margin now.
Huge. Furry aliens with teeth is by far much more realistic. It just is. I mean, really, where the fuck do the Mogwais come from? I don't know. And I'm not talking about the Scottish band. I'm talking about the fucking things in the movie.
Exactly.
Do Gremlins.
Do Gremlins.
So, yeah, there's definitely some cheeky... They're similar because they're
little fucking bastards.
They're quasi-intelligent, or they're intelligent enough to know that what they're doing is bad, and they choose to do it anyways.
Well, I would hope the critters would be intelligent because they hijacked a spaceship.
Yeah, they flew...
That we found out, we were specifically told by like the warden of the prison, had enough fuel to fly back and forth through the galaxy 10 times.
Now,
so fuel isn't what they're worried about. Why? That has nothing... Whatever.
That was a plot point, utterly useless, because the ship blew up at the end.
Yes.
With just a giant firecracker. That's the other thing. Like, I don't care how tightly you wrap a bunch of shit out of a firecracker. You are not going to make a stick of dynamite.
Yes.
That's not how that works.
So the little brother in the movie, you find out earlier on, makes fireworks. He makes the best ones around, just to like blow shit up like his toys. And
which is fair. That's fun.
yeah, and then towards the end of the movie, he makes like a huge fucking dynamite stick sized one, and it's like, okay, this kid's a terrorist now.
yeah. The whole time I'm thinking, someone's going to report him to Homeland Security at any moment. Like this cannot exist.
The Unabomber is making pipe bombs here. You got to do something about it.
But was it like a cardboard tube that he stuffed
It's like
into?
black cardboard wrapped up in a cylinder shape with tape around it is really what it looked like.
But like a mummy tape. Like it was loosely, like it wasn't like tightly wrapped. Like this kid, listen, we all know that to make a proper explosive, compression versus force is extremely important. And
I don't know this. What are you talking about?
How do you know? I mean, this is just the basic laws of thermodynamics, expansion and heat.
Hey, terrorist. What the fuck?
Listen, we can get Bill Nye on here, and he is going to explain to us how all this
That you
works.
were going straight to federal pound me in the ass penitentiary.
Yeah. I think that's in upstate New York. Anyways, not realistic. This kid makes terrible fireworks, and
It saved the day in the end, along with the drunk's leftover whiskey that he turns into a Molotov cocktail.
oh yeah, that was the clincher. I forgot about how important. So the kid is trying to light it because his giant dildo lighter isn't
like
working.
a beer can
lighter
for some reason.
Everything looks like a butt plug in that movie. Anyways.
I think you see what you want to see.
Yeah, that's probably very true. So he's trying to light it. It doesn't work. Tragedy. Drops it. Gets yanked out of the spaceship before they go off wherever they're going to escape to. Drunk boy lights a flame with the same lighter that didn't work initially, now works for the Molotov cocktail.
Well, when it comes to lighting things on fire, you should always have an adult do it for you. So,
oh, that's true. That's true.
so it all worked out.
Adult supervision is
Yes.
required, and that's why.
If you're playing with explosives, you need to be careful. Have an adult.
That's true. God, why did I ever think of that?
Which he did have. He did have the drunk guy, the adult, with him every time he did set off one of those fireworks.
They were doing things responsibly. I never thought of that. That's a really good... I mean, that's a really good example for kids. You can make your own fireworks. You could combine them all you want. As long as you're supervised by an adult, it's fine.
Who's always drunk.
Who's always drunk.
And maybe mentally challenged.
Perhaps. I will say they were tight, though, because that kid took the blame for shooting his sister's ass.
Oh, he did. The drunk shot his sister in the ass with a slingshot, and the kid took the blame for it.
And that slingshot wasn't no toy slingshot. That was like a legit...
It was a wrist rocket.
Yeah, that thing was dangerous. And I'm surprised that there wasn't blood involved in that, because something getting shot like that... Ooh.
Well, Billy Zane was about to be up on that ass. He doesn't want it to be all bruised and bloody.
Or maybe he does. I don't know. We never
He
got
wasn't interested in the first place. She was trying to kiss on him, and he was like, "Ugh, get off me." Ugh.
Yeah, I wonder if he was like, if it was like was his first gay character that he played, because he was very disinterested. Like, number one, what is a dude driving from New York to Kansas doing there to begin with? Like, why?
Maybe he was there for college. Maybe she was home from college. Maybe the older sister went to college in New York, met this boyfriend, and he was nice enough to drive all the way back.
All I'm saying
And
is...
his 940, if I had a new 944 back then when they first came out, I'd be like, I'm young and have a Porsche. I'd probably want to drive it as much as possible, too.
Drive it across the country to nowhere. To be awkwardly... Is this movie about how females harass men, perhaps? Because he was, like, clearly not at all interested. Like, it felt like he was being drug along the whole time. He's just like...
He was. He didn't
What do I do? Oh, okay, I guess.
I have to eat dinner with the family, and it's going to be awkward. I have to go up into this barn where there's hay that I'm allergic to, so you could claw all over me.
She was a very attractive lady.
And he respected her parents. He's just like, I don't want to do this because if your dad caught us, that wouldn't be good.
It reminds me of the old dirty jokes of, like, travelers who spend the night at a farmer's farm, and the joke is, don't go over to the other side. It reminds me of one of those jokes. You're looking at me like you clearly have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about.
No, I was going to say that was a predominantly 80s style joke. So being a movie of the 80s, maybe that had some influence on it.
Complete sense then. It was like their nod to that kind of a joke, which is something that Andrew Dice Clay would tell of that time.
Stay away from the farmer's daughter. It's nothing but trouble in the end.
And she was a whole lot of trouble.
Oh, she was definitely trouble.
She was very aggressive.
Kicking her brother in the shin while they're trying to have breakfast.
Yeah. And then she's like basically kind of getting rapey with Billy Zane.
Kinda is an understatement.
He was not into it. And that's some great acting. You know what? He deserved an Academy Award for feigning interest in an attractive woman. Because I don't think he's known for that in real life at all.
I don't know. What is Billy Zane really known for besides Zoolander?
Titanic. I think he's probably more known for Titanic than anything else.
How could I forget that he was... How? I don't know.
So,
shame on me.
So here's the thing, and this is a proclamation, and I don't care who anyone hears this. I have never seen Titanic, and I will never see Titanic. I've made it my personal life mission to never see the movie.
See, I can respect and agree with that because that's like worthy. But the people who are like, I've never seen Star Wars and I'm never going to see it. Like, fuck you.
Fuck them. That is not a worthy...
And I'm proud of it. I've never seen a Star Wars movie.
No.
Like,
You're
really?
You're a terrible person, and I don't care about you. Now, a noble pursuit, a humble, a pursuit of actual, like, worth is never seeing Titanic. That is something that is to be proud of. I've never seen it, and I'm never going to. And I've usually... This used to be a conversation I would have with women that I would first start to... when it was closer to the time of relevance, I'd ask that question, and then I would put out there, it'd be like, oh, it's my favorite movie. And I'm like, I will never see that movie. I will never watch it with you. You need to be prepared. If you're going to enter into this relationship with me, you must understand, we will never watch this movie together. It's become less of an issue as the movie's like 20 years old now.
Fuck, it is.
I think, is it 97, 98?
I don't even know.
So enough time has gone by where there's some people who are like, oh, Titanic, that's not a made-up movie? Like, they don't realize that it's, like, the Titanic was a real thing, which is funny to me.
The movie or the actual happening of the Titanic? That was kind of ambiguous. What did you mean?
Yes. I'll leave it at that. Yes. And Billy Zane, don't forget that Billy Zane played the Phantom.
Damn it, that's right. How could I forget both of those?
You are just sorely lacking.
I'm just too on that Zoolander tip.
Yeah, what with that? I mean, Zoolander's a great movie, but don't forget his other gems.
I guess.
He was also in Orlando. Tilda Swinton, a time-bendy, gender-bendy movie where Tilda Swinton first is a man, then cuts his dick off and becomes a woman, falls in love with Billy Zane, gets impregnated, and lives forever. You're fascinated already, I can tell.
I'm just thinking that's an actual movie.
That's a real-life movie based off of some very famous author's work. It's just lovely mind fuckery, and I'm going to make you watch it. That's just clearly you haven't seen it, so you're going to watch it, and I'm very happy with that.
There's so many other things to watch.
I know, but, just like your whiskeys that you have at home, it's there. We will get to it. Just not right now. There are other things, but eventually you're going to get the Orlando surprise directly in your face.
All right, then.
So do you have any other thoughts of Critters? It's a perfect 80s schlock movie. It's decently well acted. The effects are ridiculous. The creatures
The creatures are good, yeah.
I will say this. I will always prefer a practical effects movie over CGI
Any day of the fucking goddamn week, for sure.
As much as that movie is schlocky, what I came out of it was like, thank God that was practical effects. Like, that's really one of the thoughts that I had when we were watching it.
I just have to say, not really remembering what I've seen of it, and knowing usually how sequels go, I hope that they get a little more interesting, maybe a little scarier.
Well, they hold on to their PG-13 rating through the whole series.
It probably won't. But, like, if the normal thing is like sequels aren't as good as the original, it's going to be some tough watching going through the other ones.
That is some tough shit. So, and I want to put this out there here and now. The film debut of Leonardo DiCaprio is Critters 3. And and we were discussing this, we were at dinner, that sounded really like domestic. We just happened to be out eating.
We had a nice conversation about this over our dinner together.
That it's my life's mission now to remind the world that Leonardo DiCaprio, and mostly I want to remind him that he got his film debut in Critters 3.
And I just feel like he's paying people to suppress this Critters 3 information.
It could very well be.
He has the resources to do it.
Dude, he just bought a fucking island. Look at that. The promotional...
Oh, right on the cover here.
Right on the cover of Critters 3.
Right underneath, starring Leonardo DiCaprio in his film debut. Circle picture with his head in it.
Him looking like he's 12 years old. He looks younger, actually.
Going right from this to Basketball Diaries.
And then Romeo and Juliet. It's too bad he didn't do Kids, because that would have been like perfect for like that time of...
Oh, God, what if he was Telly?
Jesus Christ.
What if he was Casper?
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Let's recast that movie and redo... You know, he was originally supposed to play Patrick Bateman.
Yes.
Which is a crazy... And do you know, after following his career, I could see him doing that. Like, at the time, it was probably a controversial play because he was trying to retain his heartthrob status. But, like, his turn as whatever Candy in the Tarantino movie, he's actually pretty decent at being menacing.
Yes.
So hopefully, in the new movie that he's in with Tarantino, that he's menacing again.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Time will tell.
Time will tell, too. Until next time.
This is Kyle.
Eric.
TPB.
TPB. Next time we hit you, it'll be episode 10. Holy shit. y'all. Bye.